Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bonsai's Forever. I know it's been a couple of days, or it's been a little while since I've been on here. Been super busy, working on trees, but just not stuff that I felt that I was gonna want to put on video. It's been monotonous, same thing over and over and over, getting trees ready for the market and stuff like that. So I got this boxwood here a couple of weeks ago. All of the light green on it is all new growth from when I got it. It was all dark green when I got it, so it is growing. It is doing well. It looks like most of the tips are green, light green, so it looks like most of the new growth most of the branches have new growth on them. It's got some new growth on the interior of the tree also, so that's a really good sign. And it is starting to warm up, but this next week is going to be, or the rest of this week, it's Thursday, so we don't have much left for the week. But anyway, for the next couple of days, it's still going to be pretty chilly. So I'm going to do some root work on this. I'm going to repot it. I am going to do some branch bending. These trees, you can bend the branches pretty much any time of year. I would say that you'd want to be careful doing some major work on them when it's going to be really hot or really cold. I mean, I think that kind of goes for most trees. So it's going to be the same thing with this. I'm going to trim back some of the branches. I'm going to do this branch is going to be my main branch that I'm going to bend out. I want to make this tree look like have a nice big round canopy. I'm going to try and leave as much of the foliage on here as I can without making it look silly, right? Because I want it to look like a tree. I want to enjoy it through the whole process of making it into a bonsai. So I want to make it look like a tree, but I also want to leave quite a bit of the foliage on here because it is a boxwood. They grow really slow. So any major work that you do on it, if it looks sparse or silly, it's going to look like that for a long time. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to see if I can manipulate the branches in such a way as to get it to look like a tree. So let's get started. And I'm thinking right now whether I want to repot it first or bend it first. And I think I'm going to go ahead and bend it first, because I've done that before where I've repotted it and then bent the branches, and you're wiggling it in the pot. I'm going to secure this in the pot with some wire. Hopefully, actually I might not be able to because the pot that I'm going to use doesn't have holes for wire. I could probably put a wire through the drainage hole and then wire it to that, so I think I'll do that. That's something I've not done before, but I've seen it done, so it'll be good practice. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so first things first is going to be this main branch. I was told by a bonsai professional, you want to do the hardest work first, because if that goes wrong and you have to reevaluate, you don't have everything else done. So this is going to be my first branch that I'm going to bend out. I'm going to bend it with some relatively large wire. Honestly, I'm kind of wondering if I should just use a guide wire like up in this vicinity to pull it down. And I don't want to pull too hard against here because that'll break off. So I'm trying to think of if wiring it would do better, or if a guide wire would do better. This is actually a really stiff branch. I'm not sure if I have a wire that's big enough to make that stay. Let me look real quick. So I do have this size wire. I'm not sure what size my wires are. They're electrical wires. So I do have this piece of wire, but that's almost as thick as the branch. So I don't know how well that would go around the branch. And that appears to be my options. Let's see what this is. I got all my wire tangled up over here. So this is about the same size as that other piece. And this stuff is really hard to work with. So doing that on like a juniper or a pine or something like that would probably work out. But the bark on these things, the boxwoods are relatively thin. So I don't want to, strip the bark off the tree while I'm trying to wire it. So I'm going to try and go with this wire here. And this is copper wire. I am going to put this around the trunk. And then I'm going to go up the rest of the tree. Sometimes doing the larger wires on a tree that you're working on the very bottom branch is a little tougher to secure the wire. And then I'm going to go around the trunk here, and I'm going to catch the edge of the branch right here. So what this does is basically when I'm bending the branch, the wire going around the branch right here is going to hold the crotch of the branch from this side with the wire. So the wire is going to hold this from splitting. So that's pretty important on something that's going to be a major bend. You want to be able to support that part, because that's where it's going to break first. It's going to just rip off. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go around here. You always want to make sure that the wire is tight against the branch. There's a lot of foliage in here. Maybe that should have been my first thing to clean up the tree, but we're going to do this first since we're already in the middle of it. And then we'll go back and do some cleaning, because I kind of wanted to get this branch down anyway to do some of the cleaning. And this tree is growing some kind of berries. I don't know what the berries are called, but they grow. It does grow flowers, and then it grows these little. Oh, they're all over the tree, and now I can't find one. Here we go. And then I lost it. So it grows these cute little berries. Let me show you really quick. It's kind of cool. Oh, don't lose it. There you go. Wow. I'm having a hard time showing you guys this. There you go. I don't know if it's better that way. It's kind of an interesting little berry. It's got little feet on it at the end there. And I dropped it. It's not that they're really slippery, they're just really smooth, so it's kind of hard to hold on to it right now. But they're definitely an interesting little thing. I don't know if you can zoom in on that or not, but it's pretty cool. So, well, there are a whole ton of them in the pot. Anyway, so back to wiring. These trees do flower, which is really cool. And then I think I'm gonna go up this branch over here, because there's There's 3 branches that are together right here. I should probably take one of these off, but I'm not sure if I want to, because they all 3 contribute to the canopy. So I'll look that over, because I know that it's not a good idea to keep 3 branches in one spot. And I'm trying not to knock off leaves and foliage and stuff, but I can partially defoliate these trees. I don't think that right now is the time that I want to, but it is spring, so it's getting ready to start pushing out flush of growth. So right now would not be a bad time to defoliate, or partially, not fully defoliate, because I don't really believe in doing that with any trees. I have done that before and had success with it, but I've also done that before and had very bad bad things happen. So it really depends on the time of year that you're doing it. If you're going to be defoliating a tropical tree or something, you need to do it during the early part of the growing season so that it will recover before it gets cold. So the leaves that I am taking off are the leaves that are on the main branch, or this secondary branch here. So you know when I'm taking off there, because having leaves on the secondary branches gives it a look of a young tree. So we want it to look like an older tree, right? So whatever we can do that doesn't harm the tree to make it look like an older tree, that's what we do to create bonsai. And I'm trying to go through here without pinching the smaller branches or going right over the base of the smaller branch where they emerge from the secondary branch. So where the tertiary branches come out from the secondary branch, I don't want to wrap the wire right here. I want to wrap the wire inside here in front of the branch instead of on the outside of the branch. Or you want to go down past the branch so that it's not right at the base of the branch. Sometimes that changes the angle of the wire, but it's better to change the angle of the wire a little bit than to remove that branch inadvertently because you put the wire in the wrong spot. Alright, I think that's high enough for this piece of wire. I want to go out as far as I can with it, because I got it clear out to here. The branches start dramatically reducing in size in this section of the tree up here. So I want to bend this. I want to bend this part down a little bit, and I want to bend this part kind of out a little bit, so it kind of directs this whole part out from the tree. So I'm going to pull this towards me, so you might not be able to see it very well, but the health of the tree is more important than you guys seeing it. I'll show you after I bend it. So actually, I'll show you right here. I'm putting my thumb right here so that it's above the crotch of the tree, or the crotch of this branch right here, so I can bend the branch out and not pull this away from the tree. And I'm going to bend it farther than it's going to stay, because this wire, it's not quite big enough to just bend it and make it stay there. but I really don't want to use much bigger wire like the other stuff. But if I had the next size up, that would really be ideal, but I don't. So use what we got here. And I'm holding the tree and the lower part of the branch with my other hand here. And I'm bending as kind of as hard as I can without cracking the bark or the branch. Alright, so that's kind of where I'm at right this second. So you can see that it did move quite a bit right here, and it is staying, which is awesome. And now that it's bent this direction, the weight of this branch is going to kind of hold it also. It's not really enough to make it stay there without the wire, but it'll assist. So now I'm going to bend this branch. I'm going to go kind of over in this section and then kind of come back up with it a little bit so that it makes part of the canopy up here. But I'm going to do a little bit of a dramatic bend right here to bend it this direction from this side over here. Yep, and there it went. So it did crack right here. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it back to where the bark retouches, and then I'll bend it just I'll bend it in a different spot. So I bent that just a bit too far right there, and that may or may not cause this branch to die. That could potentially heal back up, and this branch will survive. If not, I mean, there's 3 branches right here, so I could move something else and it'll still work out. All right, so I do like that. That is going back up into this section here. So now I've got these 2 branches kind of floating in the wind out here, which I'm going to wire those. The only thing is this branch right here, it is kind of filling in this space if I put it here, but there's 3 branches right here. So I've got this one, and this one here, and they're all like right close to each other. These 2 are actually higher up on a little bit higher up, or lower down, I guess. So this one here would be the secondary branch, and these would potentially be tertiary branches coming off of that. But it is 2 branches right there at the secondary branch, and it is a little bit of inverse taper right here. So I don't know, you kind of can't tell that it has a little bit of inverse taper right there from most directions. So I might just leave this branch here. Kind of looking to see what it would look like without this branch. And honestly, this branch right here, coming off of the main, kind of coming off the main trunk right here, could potentially fill that in. Or this branch right here could fill this in, because this is actually a secondary branch, or so this is another section right here where I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 branches right here, and this section right here, which makes it really fat. So potentially this branch should come off. This one right here should come off, because I kind of want this branch to fill in this section over here. I haven't really studied this tree yet. I don't know if you can't tell. I haven't really studied it yet. I'm just kind of going at it with you guys. Alright, so I think I've decided I'm going to take this guy off. That just doesn't look right to me. And I don't know. Actually, I don't know. No, because I kind of like that, but also in the same sense, this side of the tree is pretty bare right now. So if I take that off and let some of this other stuff grow out, then we'll see how that looks. Because it'll all even out at the same time. So there goes that guy. Put it up on the bench. I can propagate these to have new trees. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with that piece. Alright. So there's that. Let me know what you think. I think that looks better actually. Yeah, that looks better. There's a piece of a dead branch right here. I think I'm going to take that out. Actually, I think I might leave that. So I think I told you the last time on the other boxwood video that I did that when you take branches off that are going to be seen, you want to break the branch off, because these trees, this spot where I took this branch off, that's going to take forever to heal over. So that branch is going to be kind of hidden behind this branch. So that's not going to be a big deal. But stuff that's going to be seen, it's better to break the branch off, because then as the tree ages, that branch will eventually go away and it'll leave a spot on the tree that looks natural. When you cut it off, it just doesn't look natural, and it doesn't look natural for a very long time. So it's better to break it off, because then it looks natural. Because these trees are somewhat brittle, like as you can see, I broke that branch. They are somewhat brittle, so as the tree ages and snow falls on them or whatever, big windstorms, branches do break off, and so that makes like something like this would look natural on this type of tree. Alright, so I'm going to take this piece of wire off now so it doesn't poke me in the eye, because I'm done bending this. I learned you want to kind of leave an end on the wire so that you can use that piece of wire as leverage to bend the branch also. So bending this back up right here, it kind of made these branches kind of go laterally on the branch there, so that worked out really nicely. Alright, so I am going to bend this branch kind of up over into this section here. I'm going to use a little bit less size of a wire because it is not quite as thick. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so I'm going to use the wire here to bend this branch. I think I'm going to try and put it over here and bend this branch also. So that'll add a little bit more support. And as I'm wiring it, I'll wire over the top of where I cracked the bark to kind of compress the bark back to the tree. I don't know if that's a proven method, but I'm going to try it out. And I guess we'll find out either way. Maybe it'll kill that branch, or maybe it'll help it. So we'll figure it out by testing it, right? Alright, so I'm going to go behind here. A lot of times you want to wrap the wire right against the other piece of wire but in this case I'm going to go in the space in between the wires so that I can wrap it over that spot. I still want to do it nice and snug against the bark. Hopefully I got enough wire here. Looks like I'll have just enough. Then I'm going to go through and clean it up after I get this on here. I should have probably done that before this, but that's okay. Actually, wiring this is kind of helping get off all the berries and stuff too. And also I'm pulling off the leaves that are at the base of the branch. Like how you can see right here, you got this branch right here, and then right here at the base of that branch is the leaf. Kind of like what the ficus trees do. Taking that off. Since this is the very end of the branch, I'm spreading out the angle a little bit. All right, there we go with that one. Sound of freedom right there. We have an Air Force base that's right near where I live, so I get to hear the jets all the time. Well, it's not all the time. It's not annoyingly a lot, but it's enough that it's still pretty awesome. All right, so I'm going to which branch I want to go out onto. I think I'm going to go out onto this branch from here. This tree looks like it was grown in this pot for quite a while. It doesn't look like it's been any kind of maintenance done to it. Just put in this pot as a cutting, I'm sure, and then just let to grow out in a field somewhere in the pot. You can kind of tell that because all the roots are showing clear up to the top of the soil right here. Alright, I think that's going to be the duration of this wire. Get it to go around the top here. Alright, so I've got a branch right here that is bent right here. Goes this way. So that's going to come off. I'm going to cut it off at the base of it because there's two more branches right there that are going to take its spots. There you go, just like that. It's kind of a gnarly bend in there. So that's what it looks like now. Alright, so I'm going to bend this branch. I'm going to try and bend it over just a little bit here. And then I want to go back up with it. I'm going to try and do something similar with the branches like I did with these, so I don't have to wire everything. This one is a lot more flexible too, which is awesome. And then this branch, since it's going in towards the tree, I'm going to kind of bend it out away from the tree. See if I can get it to bend kind of dramatically right here. There we go. So I bent it right here, really dramatically to get it to come back out. Alright, so then this branch, since it looks just like it's kind of floating right there, I'm going to put it in this section here. I'm going to kind of bend it sideways here. Let's see if I can get over here to where you guys can see a little bit of it anyway. So I'm going to bend it kind of sideways here. Like this. And then I want this to rotate to where this is all flat instead of horizontal. So we're going to, I'm going to bend it out this way and then turn it back towards you guys. Because that basically, it takes the branch like this and goes like this with it. And then I can put it back up. Alright, so there you go. So now all the branches look more horizontal instead of all sitting vertical like that. And now because I did that, there is a branch here that is facing downwards. But I've got this branch right here that's taking up this space. So this branch can come off. Sometimes it is good to do the pruning while you're wiring, because then you can find those kind of branches like this one that's going straight out here, and then these two are kind of going up, and then this one's going straight up. So the straight up branches is going to come out of there just like that. And now I've got all horizontal facing branches right here. Take the little berry off, and then right at the end here, trying to see what that looks like. I think I'm gonna leave that. It looks like there was a flower there, but that could be new buds for leaves. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm leaving that. And then at the base of each branch, there's like these little clusters. I think I'm gonna try and leave those too from here on out, because I took that one off. But I think I'm gonna try and leave those, because those might be new leaves. Might be new leaf. No, that's the the end of the berry. Never mind. So yeah, that's the end of the berry. So those can all come out if I can gently take them out. So I'm wondering if where the berries were at, if that will grow a new branch or not. I said I don't have a ton of experience with these, so we are going to learn together on this. We will see how this goes, because these trees are really cool trees. I've always liked boxwood trees. I've just never gotten them because I don't know. Before I was probably a little scared because they grow so slow and all that stuff, and I was impatient. But I guess now that I'm more experienced and more patient with my trees, I'll start getting more into trees that you have to have patience with. So these do look like they are going to be new branches here. So I'm going to leave the leaves that have those in them so that they can grow the branch before I take the leaf off. But I'm going to take the leaf off the base of each branch if I can find them all. If I can't, that's not going to be a huge big deal. But I'm going to try to give them some space to grow in whatever direction the branch feels like growing. Honestly, this looks a lot better already, in my opinion. There's a couple of pieces up at the top that I need to get rid of and trim back in here. I'm not sure I want to wire all this just yet. Maybe I do. Having it all styled at one time is typically better than going back and restyling it and restyling it and restyling it and restyling it. So the entire life of the tree is restyling, and that's never good. So I mean, obviously you're going to go back and fix and improve the entire life of the tree, but to do major restyling for the entire tree's life is not something I think is ideal. Alright, so there's a huge branch, secondary branch here, and a bunch of smaller secondary branches in here. I think I'm going to take this large secondary branch off because it's really cluttery right here, and it's going to make a whirl right here. Inverse taper and all that stuff. Don't want to get in there. It's a lot of it's really close together too right here. Save that guy. Alright, now I can get this guy in here. Maybe. A little bit better. Take it out of right here. Alright, that looks good. This branch right here on the interior of the tree. I'm going to take that little guy off. Try breaking it off maybe. Want to do that. Looks like it's just going to rip the bark off. Just kind of leave a spot right there though. Alright, so I'm going to try and wire this branch now. I'm going to I think I'm gonna leave this part. I don't know if you guys could see that. Leave this part of the branch in the direction that it's going. I want to bend these two branches right here. So I'm going to get a larger piece of wire and do that. I'm going to go through and clean this up a little bit. There's a couple of spots where there's too many branches in here, so I'm going to go ahead and take out some of those too many branches. I have my compost bucket right behind me here. Alright, take off some of the... This looks like it'll be a new branch right here, so I kind of think I want that branch there. Some of these leaves I am leaving on here because there's a new branch growing right here, and I want that to grow before I take this off. Kind of like this one. It's got this branch right here growing out of this branch, or this leaf. So I want them to have a few on there before I take off that other leaf. Kind of surprised that my little chicks are being so quiet. Looks like they're all almost asleep. I've been hatching Bantam chickens. So I've got 6 of them right now. I had one that hatched last night that didn't make it, but I've got 6 of them right now. They're doing really good. And then I've got some chickens that are brooding. I think I showed you guys in previous video the ones that are brooding. I have 2 of them now. I think there was just one on the last video when I showed you my chickens, and they hatched a couple of chicks. I think it was about a week ago, and the other hen that was in there was mean, so she attacked them, and one of them didn't make it, and the other one I saved it, but I need to do a little bit of work on it to clean it up a little bit. It's doing good, but I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning on it today and see if I can save that one. But anyway, the hen that was being mean, I took her out of there and put her with the bigger chickens. So she's doing fine with those guys because she's mean enough to take care of herself. But then last night I went out to check on the hens that were laying on eggs because I found, I was looking at the eggs yesterday and they were all really light, which means they're about to hatch. So I went out and checked on them this, last night, and they were sitting on a chick and it was doing just fine. So I'm pretty sure it was the other hen that was beating up on them. So I'm glad that I took her out of there, because now the hens that are in there, they can just sit on their own eggs and hatch all the eggs for me, so I don't have to get woke up in the middle of the night when they hatch in the incubator, because I have an incubator in my room. So of course when they start hatching, they start making all kinds of noise. If you've never hatched chickens, then I guess you wouldn't know that, but they start chirping before they even come out of the egg. And sometimes it takes several hours to hatch. I've had a couple of them take like 9 or 10 hours to hatch, so you got all night of them chirping in there. And if the chickens are going to hatch them, then I don't have to have them in my incubator. So that would be a huge bonus. I've been looking at this tree, walking by it in the nursery for the last 2 weeks, I think, 3 weeks. Just trying to decide when I wanted to work on it, and now that I'm working on it, I'm glad that I decided to work on it. I like doing this. This is a really cool tree. When I saw it at the nursery, I was like, yeah, I have to have that. And honestly, it wasn't really expensive either. It was like $15. I don't know what that is in other countries, but 15 US dollars. So that's not too bad if you ask me. So I've actually seen boxwoods that are like this size for more than $15, or about $15. So glad to get this one, because I've actually been wanting one that flowers also. So that'll be pretty cool to see this flower later on in the season. Hopefully it does flower this year. Trying to work quickly so I don't make this video super long, but I really don't want to edit anything out. I just kind of want to do a you know, this is what it takes to do a bonsai type of video, I guess. I get a lot of people ask me at the farmers market, you know, what do I need to do with my tree, and is it a lot of work, is it, you know, a lot of patience and all that kind of stuff. And you know, in a 2-minute conversation, it's really hard to explain bonsai in a 2-minute conversation. If you've been working on bonsai for any amount of time, you know that. But I don't know, I'd like to be able to just stand there and tell them, you know, this is what it is, and this is what it takes, and you know, this is what you need to do, and then be able to understand it, for one, you know, being new at it, and also being able to remember all of that, because I know there's people out there that can remember that kind of information for a long time, but man, if I walked up and started talking to somebody about something and I don't continue to research it, then I don't remember like hardly any of what they said. So I don't want to, you know, sell somebody a tree and then think that I can just tell them, you know, this is what you got to do, and that just be good enough. And you know, then the tree dies because they didn't get enough information, you know, out of me. So it just, I don't know, kind of rambling, kind of telling you what's been on my mind, but I just would love to be able to show people, you know, how to take care of the trees and it work, you know. So I guess that's what I'm kind of trying to do here, by just showing you everything that I'm doing, working through each branch of the tree, making decisions based on what I know about the tree, and if I don't know, then, you know, I go back and do some research on it. Yesterday I started this video, and I didn't do anything really to it. I just kind of set up and was doing a little bit of talking about it, and I was like talking about wiring it, because I wanted to wire it, but I was talking about wiring it. I'm like, wait, maybe I don't know if you can wire these any time of year, and I don't want to put out bad information. So I shut everything down and I went and did some research, and you know, I found out that you can wire these pretty much any time of year, like any other evergreen tree. You just want to be, you know, you just want to be careful if it's going to be super cold or super hot. You know, you don't want to do crazy work on any tree if it's going to be really hot or really cold, unless you have a place that you can maintain a protective area for it. You know, if you have a greenhouse that you can maintain a temperature and maintain the right humidity and all that stuff, then any time of year, have at it, But if you don't have that, then, you want to be careful to be able to put it in shade once you've done really heavy work, or you want to be able to, even keeping it in the house for a little while, like for a lot of people, they talk about their juniper trees and how you don't ever want to take them inside, and you don't ever want to do this, and you don't ever want to do that. But there's a lot of things with trees that you can do something for a little while, and then I'm gonna leave the rest of these little pods on there. I'm wondering if those are actually gonna be new leaves, and I'm like completely ruining this tree. Anyway, there's some things that you can do with trees that you just do it for a little while, and it isn't going to adversely affect the tree, and honestly, it would actually help the tree. Like by taking your juniper inside after you've done some major work and it's going to be super hot outside. You take your tree inside, you keep it watered properly, and then you take it back outside after it's recovered. You want to definitely leave them outside during the wintertime. I think that's a really big deal. You don't want to keep them inside during the wintertime. Obviously, if it's going to be like super, super, super cold, bring them into a place that it's not super, super cold would be helpful. Or being able to protect it outside someplace would be ideal. But I don't know. It's just kind of rambling right now while I'm working on this. But I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to figure out how to make videos to where people can just watch them, and I can explain how to do things. People can understand it and see what I'm doing to better understand what I'm talking about, and then be able to do that same work themselves. Didn't smash that branch. When I first got started on bonsai trees, I really didn't have a ton of video type information. Had a very decent but vague book on bonsai trees. It went over the descriptions of, this is a informal upright, this is a cascade, this is a, that kind of thing, and then it went into how to prune. It showed you a couple of branches that weren't on a tree, and if you prune here it does this, if you prune there it does that kind of thing. And I mean, that was pretty much the extent of my original learning experience with bonsai trees. And then discovered YouTube, which YouTube's been around for quite a long time now, but I mean, I'm 43 years old, so YouTube wasn't always around. And watching the videos and watching people work on the tree and talking about it, that was a big game changer for me. So that's one of the main reasons why I like doing the YouTube channel or the YouTube videos, to help people understand bonsai, because I really didn't have that right off the beginning of my experience. So I just think that it's really helpful for me in the way I learn, is to see it while they're talking about it. Reading is one thing, looking at pictures is one thing, but actually seeing somebody, like the way they're holding the wire while they're putting it around the tree, while seeing, how they're holding the other end of the wire and how they're wrapping it around the tree, and them telling you, I'm avoiding doing this while I'm wrapping the wire. Like I was saying earlier, I'm avoiding putting it right under the branch. I'm going to try to either go over the branch or farther under the branch, you know, that kind of stuff. That wasn't in the book. You know, it showed pictures of wire on the branch, but I mean, somebody explaining it is, I think it's very valuable. So, I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I really like doing my YouTube channel and showing people how to take care of the trees. And kind of because I like talking. I don't know, I like talking a lot, so I don't know if it's because I like hearing my own voice, but just I like to talk a lot. So I also really like to teach. Really like to teach people. I was a mechanic for a long time, and there was times where I was working on cars that I would act like I was teaching a class, working on the car. Partially because it got boring doing the same thing over and over, and it was just funner to act like I was teaching a class, but also because I don't know, I just really like to teach. Alright, so this is as far as I'm going to go with this piece of wire here. No, I'll go back a little bit. That's as far as I'm going to go. Okay, so now I'm going to, I want to kind of create like a little bend right here in the branch to make this kind of go off that direction. Because there's a couple of branches go in the opposite direction right there too. Oh, there goes that branch. So these branches are very fragile when they get bigger, so definitely be really careful with that. I mean, I could potentially just take that branch off, but I'm going to try doing what I did with the other one here. So stuff like this, you know, showing the fragility of the branches. I think that's very helpful, you know, for other people to know, hey, if you go just that much too far, then you're kind of game over with that branch, or you're gonna have to give it better aftercare. And honestly, that doesn't look too bad. I really wish that I could bend this just a little bit more right here, but I don't think I can without doing more damage to it. Yeah, that works right there. So then I'm gonna separate these two branches out just a little bit, so that it widens out the canopy a little bit here. And then I'm going to rotate this wire up under here. Let's try to go through here with it. There we go. Like that. I'm going to move this over. There we go, like that. So I scooted this branch over a little bit to separate these branches out. Gives it more of a canopy look to it. Hopefully this survives. I really think that it's going to. It's going to take a very long time for that to heal, which, like I've said, these trees they take forever to grow and heal, so be careful not to break the branches. Okay, definitely talking to myself mostly there. Okay, so I'm going to try and bend this one over just a little bit. I'm going to try not to break it. But like, really honestly, if you're watching this video and you're like, wow, I wonder how far I can really bend a branch, you know, I broke my branch. That means that you don't have to break your branch, you know, and I'm going to have to put a lot more effort into taking care of this tree now because I broke a branch, and because you watched it and you saw, okay, you can go about that far before it breaks. Now you don't have to break your branch because I broke mine, and you can save that part of the hassle. You know, it doesn't have to be a hassle for you. So I'm gonna bend. I like this branch coming out here, so I'm gonna try and bend this up just a little bit more. Just like a little bit. I know it looks like I bent it a lot or not at all, but just ever so slightly. So there's a little bit more space in between these two branches here. I hope you guys can see all this. I think you can, but I'm gonna check really quick. Make sure it's still recording. You guys kind of can, but it's dark. Sorry about that. Tried to put some lights on it, but it's kind of weird the way my greenhouse is right now. This section over here is really bright, and then this section over there is really dark. So I mean, I can see everything really good, but the camera can't see it as good as I can. So hopefully you guys can see all this. Hopefully you can see it better now. Yeah, I'm liking that. I really wish that I could get this over a little bit farther. I got the hiccups. Really wish I could get that over a little bit farther. Maybe I can. I'll bend it back down right here a little bit. And I'm gonna bend this back up over here. No braking. No braking. Actually, that's not bad. This part isn't bad. That did bend out just a little bit more. Tweak this one just a little bit here. There we go. Nope. Just gotta go back this way. Wow. That's 3. How many can I break before I kill the whole tree? Yeah, that one's bad. That one's really bad. Well, no, I'm gonna take that one off. No, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna see what it takes, because like I said, I don't have a ton of experience with these. So the more I mess up, the more I'm gonna learn, right? So we'll put this out here like this. There we go. I like that. I'm gonna stop messing with those branches though. So when I was reading about this, it did say that you want to bend the branches when they're younger, because they do get brittle. So obviously I knew that there was a chance that they were going to break. I was hoping that they wouldn't, but if you're not breaking branches, you're not trying hard enough. I've heard multiple bonsai practitioners say that, so I guess I'm trying hard enough. Anyway, so I'm gonna put wire on this branch, and then I've got this branch over here that I want to bring out also. So I'm gonna wire those guys. Let's see if I can get proper amount of wire here. So I'm gonna go to where it goes under here, because breaking the crotch off this would be bad, right? So go through here, go up under this one, and go around here. I'm gonna wire it towards me for a second. If I can avoid breaking off more branches, that would be epic. I actually kind of like that these chicks are really quiet because they're making noise, but they're chirping really quiet, which is cool. So one thing I was taught on the one of the channels that I watch on YouTube is when you're wiring, you don't want to smash the foliage. Like, I think he was talking mostly about junipers, but you don't want to smash the foliage on the branch because it just doesn't look good. And I think he was talking most. He does a lot of shows, so I'm thinking he was talking mostly about, you put it in a show and you've got smashed foliage that looks like horrible. It looks like you don't know what you're doing, and when you're putting a tree into a show, you should know what you're doing by then. But it also, when you smash the foliage in between the wire and the branch, that's not good for the. It's not good for the branch, also, because you've got something in between the wire and the branch, and then when you go to take the wire off, it could potentially do some really weird things. I've never done it, so I don't know if you could like smash the other foliage into the branch and like make it part of the branch, because that would be really weird. But that berry got eaten by something. But yeah, it doesn't look good, so I want to be careful of that. Okay, so I'm gonna bend this branch out here a little bit. I'm gonna try and bend it just into this space. And these trees naturally grow in a upward direction with their branches, so their branches are going to come out of the main trunk of the tree and go upwards. So any branches that you do, you don't want to bend them down like a pine wood or like a higher elevation type of tree. You want to do it to where the branches are going upwards. So I'm going to try and bend this. So this is the branch that I broke really badly. So I'm going to kind of bend this branch over into this direction a little bit to maybe take over for that branch if it doesn't do well after my damaging it. I'll tell you the truth, this smaller branch definitely bends a lot easier than the older branches. So I think I'm going to do it just like that. I mean, it looks a little weird. This one here looks a little weird. Maybe I'll do it back this way just a touch. There we go, just like that. So that opens up this tree quite a bit. This piece here is going to be the main trunk, so this will be the apex of the tree here. I'm going to go through and try and clean out some of this foliage in here, not removing branches, but just the leaves in here. I want to remove stuff that's solar panels that aren't in the most ideal area, so that the tree will reallocate energy to the parts of the tree that are more beneficial to it. Because a tree is going to send nutrients to every living part. So if you want certain parts to grow larger or faster than other parts, then remove some of the foliage from the parts that aren't the spaces that you want to be growing as fast, and it does kind of slow it down. In some instances, it's not going to be dramatic enough to, I took 6 leaves off of this side, so this part just like sprouted out really bad or really awesome. But it does help a little bit. I mean, if you're going to do some really dramatic stuff, then it definitely helps out a lot more also. So I'm working on just cleaning out this section of the tree right now. This just really opens it up also. It looks a lot better already. It looks a lot older, a lot more mature. Just by taking these leaves off, honestly. Moving some of the branches out helps a lot too. In this section, I am taking off some of the really tiny branches that are going in directions that I don't want them to go. Like going directly inward towards the tree or directly at another branch. If they're going in a direction that's going to fill in a space, obviously I'm leaving those ones there. I'm trying to take out anything that's fallen into the tree from somewhere else, like another tree that was next to it or whatever. Because I found a couple of leaves that don't go to this tree. And definitely taking off all the remaining berries. Because the berries are going to be something that the tree is going to allocate a lot of energy to. Because they're its reproduction. They're trying to make more trees, so they're going to allocate a lot of energy to that. So taking that off really helps. Now, if you're trying to save those and grow seeds or whatever from it, then I would wait until the tree is out of the development stage to do that. I mean, obviously it's up to you on how you do that, but if it was me, I would wait till it was out of the development stage to start letting those develop. This looks like it was hedge trimmed at one point. Some leaves that are halved up here at the top. I'm going to take all those off. So I'm also going to try and get a profile on this tree. It's kind of hard from this close up. I'm going to step back a little bit. Look at it. See where I want to. Most of the tree is kind of going in this direction. It kind of looks like it's going like that. I want a little bit more over here. Obviously I'm going to let this fill in, but I'm going to kind of take a little bit off of this side here. So I'm going to take off the large dead branches at the top here, the ones that were chopped off. So I'm going to take off some of the height in here. I want to take it off to where the branches are going horizontal instead of vertical. I just kind of want to lower the top of this tree out a little bit. Plus, by chopping these back some, the next set of branches will be smaller, so it will give it better taper at the top here. A lot of these branches are actually pretty thick, so I want to work on the taper of the tree here at the top. There's a couple of pieces in here that are actually really thick that I want to remove. Just trying to decide if I want to remove them now all the way back or if I want to reduce a little bit at a time. I'll look at it first. Take it back a little bit, look at it, see what that looks like, and then decide. No, I'm gonna take it all the way back to where I'm thinking. This branch is just really thick. This is like the main leader of the tree. As I'm following it up the tree, it actually ends up being right over here. So I think I'm going to take this branch clear back down to something smaller to spread out the apex of the tree here, just like that. It kind of bears this section right here, but it'll fill in, and I've got patience to wait for that, so we'll go ahead and do that now. And then I'm gonna cut some of these guys back, reduce their height. I could probably save all these cuttings and make new trees, but I don't know if I want to do that yet. Okay, so right here, I've got no back budding yet on this branch. There's leaves, but it's not back budded yet. So I'm going to tip these off so that this will back bud, so that I can get more foliage in here, so that I can reduce it back. There we go. So that's what I did right here. Took about that much off, so that reduces it back, and that will cause it to back bud. And these guys do back bud pretty readily. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all the growing tips of this end of the tree over here. Wow. This one's got a really thick branch all the way out to the end here. I'm going to cut that back. I'm going to just cut it all the way back to here. Alright, so I cut it all the way back to here. And then I'm going to reduce the length of this branch here. Really like this tree. It's gonna do really well. In spite of the fact that I broke like half the large branches off. Hopefully they do survive. If not, I mean it's a tree, it's gonna grow. We'll just have to, it'll just be a really large setback if they all three do die off, but I mean, what can you do? Not bend them, not work on it, you know. This next time I'll bend it just a little bit less. Even the next tree that I work on that's boxwood, I'll just bend it a little bit less, you know, and that'll keep it from having a catastrophe. I'm gonna let those grow out just a little bit more. That one's already done. These ones up here. I'm gonna cut this one back a little bit farther. It looks like it does have some buds back here, so I'm gonna let that grow out and then reduce that back even farther. Just gonna cut this one off, but I think I'll let that one grow out because it'll fill in over here a little bit. All right, I'm gonna trim some wires. tree anymore. So this branch here, I am a little worried about that one. But it should be okay. I think it'll be okay. I'm not super worried about it. This one maybe. This one I almost broke it halfway, like all the way, or like halfway off. So that there's a big potential for that one not to make it, but there's other stuff here that I could move into that section if it doesn't survive the breakage. All right, so I am gonna repot this because it looks like it really needs repotted. So I am gonna repot this. Let's see, I'm gonna put it over my big catch tray here. Move the turntable. Oh, nice. The loveliness of having a sand floor. You get sand all over you. Alright, so I am going to repot this into this pot here. You know what? I'm going to use a different pot. I'm going to use this pot. It's a little bit large, but I think this is going to work. Whoa, don't fall over. Okay. So I think that'll do pretty well. So let's make it fit in here. First thing I'm going to do is remove the top part of the soil here, and just get some of this. They put this plant food in the trees out here. It's like a green, little green beads. I don't know if you can see that, little green beads. And I want to kind of get all of that out of the top of the soil if I can. I know it's a time release type of fertilizer, but I use a water soluble fertilizer on my trees most of the time because I use my pond water. I have goldfish in there, so I use my pond water, and I also use well water to water the trees most of the time. The pond waters, I've got a tank that I put it into in my greenhouse, so I don't put fertilizer in with the fish, but I do put fertilizer in the tank that I take the water from the pond and put into. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, so there's that. So I use that fertilizer on my trees. I don't remember if I've mentioned what fertilizer I actually do use. I use orchid fertilizer, honestly, because it's got a lot higher nitrogen content in it, and I don't have to use as much fertilizer for the tank to get the desired amount of nitrogen that I want to grow the trees. So I can mix it to a lot less fertilizer per water to get what I want. So this tree has a lot of really awesome roots down here, but they are all like compost type of roots, like really large feet of roots, which for now is good, but these will reduce as it being in a bonsai pot and bonsai soil. They'll reduce down. So I'm going to try and take it off right about here. I'm going to get out my root pruning scissors here. I'm just going to cut this off. So far most of this is feeder roots in here. And this tree's heavy with all this dirt. Yeah, this was definitely grown from a cutting, because I would have caught a taproot by now if it was a seed. Go. Cut these off the edge. Alright, let's see what it looks like here in the pot. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I really like that. This may or may not be the angle that I put it in here, just kind of looking to see if it's going to fit yet. I do have a screen cut already for that. I had a tree in that pot that did not survive the winter. It was my wax myrtle. I did do a video on that one, so you can go back and check out what the tree looked like. It had some issues. I don't remember if it was a windstorm knocked it off the bench, and then I did some work on it, and it didn't survive that. So this winter was pretty brutal here. We got down into the 20s, which I know some people are from really cold places. I'm from Colorado, so I know what cold really is, you know, not really complaining about our mild winter, but my greenhouse didn't stay warm enough, and some of the trees that I had outside, if I'd have brought them into the greenhouse, they might have survived, because they're trees that can survive colder temperatures, but just not that cold. So, and this year was kind of abnormally cold for this area too, so that's too big. Really gnarly root right here. I'm going to try to trim it back a little bit. There we go. Alright, let's see if this fits. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit off of the edges. Let's see which way I want to put it in the pot. I think I'm going to put it in the pot this way, so that this branch is kind of going off. Put it off to the left a little bit. So I'm going to trim edges just a little bit here. Not too much, but I want everything to be square in the pot. I do kind of want to trim the ends off the really long feeder roots too, because by doing that it makes the feeder roots get smaller and smaller. It, you know, ramification of the roots is as important to the tree as ramifications to the branches. I'll put this back behind me here. There we go. Alright, I'll put this down here and check the camera really quick. Make sure y'all can see what I'm doing here. Everything lowered. Alright, so I'm going to just show you the repotting part. You won't be able to see the top of this tree, but that should be alright for you. Okay, so next step here is get rid of the compost out of the bottom of the pot here. Alright, so this pot was actually, I think they're about $90, $80 or $90 normally, but I got it for 10 because right here on the bottom it was cracked clear across here, And then this foot is chipped. And then this, I'm trying to remember, I glued it back on. So this foot right here was broke off also, but I had the piece, I think it was, yeah, this one. So, but I had the piece, so I glued it back on. So totally cool with having a messed up pot that's big enough to put a tree in. It's a cool looking pot too. So anyway, so here we go. I've got my larger particle bonsai soil right here. I'm going to put in the bottom. There's some smaller stuff mixed in here too. This is kind of I reuse my bonsai soil. When one of my trees dies, I'll take it out of the soil, and then I will wash the organic material out of the soil, and then I'll let it dry. And then I've got a sifter. I've got this sifter, and I'll put the soil a little bit of it at a time in here with it, and I have a torch, so I'll use the torch, and it'll burn off like any other organic material or seeds from any of the weeds that were in it. It'll burn off the root material that's left in the soil. And yes, that is a long process. It's fun for me, so I don't mind doing it. I actually like doing that, but most people, that's not something that they would really enjoy doing. So I don't know. I enjoy doing it, so I do that. And it also saves me a ton of money in trying to find and replace bonsai soil. I've found on Amazon there's a good place that I've been getting soil from. A couple of different places actually. I get turfus, pumice, and lava rock, but it's this size. It's the really small stuff, and I use that for most of my trees. The larger trees I'll still use the other stuff, but this is what I've got left. So, and I probably should have put this wire in here first, like I always do. I always mess that part up. It's okay. Didn't get too far. Alright, so I'm going to take my wire here, and I'm going to put in the pots here. Alright, so I'm gonna measure a good amount of wire. Make sure that it's not too long. I might just, yeah, I'm gonna cut this off. I don't need the whole piece. Let's not drop stuff on my toes. You can see the holes in the bottom of the pot, obviously, so I'm bending it in the bottom of the pot to see a good length to be able to wire this tree into the pot. And I've said it many times, I don't like to waste things, so I try and get a good measurement. And I can use this for a smaller tree later to wire it into the pot. I'm gonna kind of straighten it out a little bit, and then I've got the screen on the bottom of the pot here, so I'm gonna put it through the hole, not drop it and bend it all up. Hopefully, put the wire through the hole, and then poke it through the screen. And this also holds the screen in place, which isn't that big a deal because, I mean, you're putting the soil over it, so it's not that big a deal, but it does keep it in there. nice surprise. This is the first time I'm hearing from the roosters this morning. After this video, I think I'll show you the chicks really quick. Alright, sometimes I'll make one side of the wire a little bit longer so that I can poke it through the screen and then be able to poke the other side. You can see kind of there, it's a little bit longer, so I can poke one side through the screen and then the other side, because I've done it the same length, and then it's, yeah, you kind of get the idea. It's not nearly as easy. Alright, and I'm going to put the bottom layer back in here, the larger particles in the bottom. That actually helps with drainage. Now if you're doing like potted plants, I've heard that doing the larger gravel in the bottom of a potted plant with like an organic base potting soil does not work very well, because it does not wick the water out of the compost type soil or organic soil. It actually holds the water in the organic soil. So if you're doing potted plants or house plants and stuff like that, this doesn't work. But if you're using non-organic material like bonsai soil, it does work. Alright, so there's that, and that is now a little bit too tall. Even if I wiggle it down in here, I feel like that's going to be a little bit too tall still. So I kind of want to take off a little bit more of the bottom of these roots. And this should not be a big deal, taking this much of the root mat off with this tree. I am going to be taking special care of it, making sure that it's watered properly, because I did break the branches, so I'm going to be paying a little bit closer attention to it because of that. Plus, the inside of this section is actually really dry, so getting rid of this is probably going to be better for the tree anyway. But these are getting into the smaller feeder roots, which is good too. Okay, so I don't want to take it all off of there, so that's what it looks like now. I'm going to tease out some more of this soil that's in these roots if I can, but honestly there's not a bunch of soil in this part of the root mat, which isn't ideal. I'm actually really excited to see how nice this tree is going to look in a couple of months after doing all this work to it, because this is opening up the roots down at the base of the tree, which is going to provide space for the bonsai soil to be in, and it'll provide more health to the tree actually. Alright, so that's what it looks like now. I teased out the roots a little bit. Yeah, that's going to be a lot better. Okay, so I'm going to put some of the smaller soil in here on top of this so that I can work the roots into it. I might have to stop the video and make some more soil though, because I'm going to use the smaller soil for the remainder of this. No, actually I might not, because it doesn't take that much time. And it's a video, so y'all can fast forward through it if you want to, even. So now I'm gonna twist this down in while I'm pushing on the root mat. I'm gonna twist it down into that bonsai soil there, making sure that the tree is facing the direction I want it to. I think I might... I did not get enough to cross it. So I'm going to twist these wires down on here to hold the tree in place. Then I'll make some more, or mix up some more bonsai soil really quick. I think I've said this before, but you want to make sure that the wires are oriented in a way that they're not going to chop at the trunk of the tree or the bark of the tree while you're twisting the wires down. I think that should be kind of a given, but it's something I've done in the past, so that's why I'm watching out for it. I'm pushing down on the roots while I'm kind of pulling up on the wire and twisting it. Really need to get a bigger pair of pliers for this. Alright, that one's holding. I'm going to try it. I try to work the roots, or the wire around the roots, so that it doesn't make the roots go in a funky direction. And if I have a root that's sticking out like this one, I'm going to try and put the wire under this section of the roots so that I don't mess up the surface roots. If I can get it through, obviously. There you go. There's not much sticking out on the other side, but it'll be okay. There we go. A little bit. Later on, once the root mat has developed, taking the wire out really isn't that big a deal. I would cut it on the bottom, like even in the middle, and sometimes you can just pull this part out, but if not, you can cut the wires out. And if there's wires still left in the root mat later on down the road, it's not that big a deal. It doesn't hurt the tree at all. Just maybe be cautious of, catching your fingers on it or something later on. But alright, so that's gonna hold just fine. And now we're gonna cut off the excess wire if I don't lose my tools. I like to cut it off to where you've got plenty of turns holding the wires together. Yeah, plenty of wraps. And then if it's pointed up or something, you can just bend it with your pliers to where it bends down into the root mat so that you don't get caught by it. All right, so I'm going to show you making new soil really quick. You should be able to see this, I think. Yeah, I'll turn you over here. There we go. All right, so I use this thing for a lot of things. You can get these at pretty much any department store, I think. I mean, you could probably get these online. I'm sure you can get them in other countries too. So I'll put this on here as my measuring device. And this is not the bag that this surface comes in. It's just a lot thicker bag. So I reused it. So I'll fill that out. And the turfus comes in like a really thin bag. So anyway, so I do that, and as you can see, there's a little bit of dust in it, but it's not bad. Just a little bit. And that rinses off pretty easy. So this is the pumice. Comes in this bag. So I get this on Amazon. It's not super expensive, and this lasts quite a while. With as many trees as I'm working on, this does last quite a while. But if you have, you know, 5 or 6 trees or whatever, and you're repotting every couple of years, that one bag should repot quite a few trees. And then I got this lava rock. I got this small bag to start off with to see if I like it. It says it's made in China. I don't know if this helps be able to find this. I got this on Amazon also. They do sell it in 7. Shoot, I don't remember all the sizes. But this is the 7-pound bag. So if you're doing just a couple of trees or succulents or something, this will probably work really well for you. But it's a smaller particle than I had been getting, or smaller size than I had been getting, which I really do like this size. It does look like there's extra stuff in here though, which I don't know if I like that, but that's almost a whole 7-pound bag in this. So that's obviously 7 pounds isn't going to do me very well. There is extra stuff in here. I don't know what it is. I'm going to put this in a different bucket really quick. It kind of looks like it's plastic. That's a little weird. I'm not sure if I like that. See if you can see that. It's got little pieces in it. They're very light. Whatever they are, they're really light. Alright, so I'll put it all in the same bucket, and then I'll dump it into my other bucket. It gets some of the dust out. That's the stuff that was in the bottom of the bucket already. And then I'll pour it right back into I usually do this a couple of times because that really just mixes the stuff together really nicely, and it doesn't makes it really dusty in here, but the pumice, if you use your scoop to mix it up, then it breaks up the pumice. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to break up your pumice while you're mixing your soil together. So you could potentially use the sifter or water or whatever to clean the soil before you put it in your tree. But it's really not that necessary, because we can just, when we water the tree, we will we'll rinse it out anyway. So now we're going to fill in all of the areas here in this pot. And we want to make sure that we get all the soil up underneath of the roots on the side too. So I kind of, in some instances, not all of them, I'll raise raise some of the roots up into the soil as I'm putting the soil in there. So that causes different levels of the roots being in the different levels of the soil. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Depends on the tree. This one I'm going to. Alright, I'm going to chopstick it in here. I want to work all the soil into the roots really well without damaging the roots. I've said some trees it doesn't really matter. The damage on the roots is just going to cause the roots to ramify. But some trees you really want to be careful with damaging the roots. I'm not 100% sure on this one. I'm going to just try not to damage the roots as much as possible. But I mean, we've already taken off a giant portion of the roots on this, so chopsticking this in here and damaging the ends of the roots a little bit isn't going to be a big deal as far as I think. Opening up some areas in the root mat is ideal for something like this. Getting some soil into the organic portion of the root mat is good, so that it can start converting over to the bonsai soil rather than the compost type of soil or organic soil. The best way to do that is kind of push your chopstick into the organic part of the soil and wiggle it around while pushing the bonsai soil into that void. If you're not new to this channel, you've seen me do that like on every tree that I've repotted that has compost type soil. And then the edge of the pot where there is no roots, we're just trying to get the soil tamped down into the pot where it's kind of solid, kind of packed in there a little bit, so that the roots have something to work themselves into. You don't have to be really aggressive with this either, just opening it up a little bit or enough to get soil to go into that space is all you're really trying to do here. Really excited about getting this tree into a bonsai pot. And looking at it and looking at it and looking at it and be like, I need to work on that, I need to work on that, you know. So this is awesome. I'm really excited about this. Honestly, it looks really good. I like it. I need to get a new turntable. This one's wore out. These turntables, they're good for the price. Not amazing, but they're good for the price because they're so okay. So going back to the tree really quick, and then I'll get off topic here for a second. So that's going to do it for the repot and the styling of this tree. I am going to water this. I'm going to water it with the hose because it's a large pot. I'm going to go put it out on the spot where I'm going to put it out in the nursery. because it is going to be a little bit chilly, and I do have a watering system out there that I think I need to do some work on it still. I got a timer, and I don't know if it's staying on, so I might have to, on I mean as in timing the time when to turn on and all that stuff, not just staying on, like watering on. Anyway, so I'm gonna go put this out on the spot where I'm gonna put it, and I'm gonna water it, and I am going to cut this branch back because it is really driving me nuts. I'm gonna keep the branch, but I'm gonna cut it back. There we go. Okay, so I will take you guys with me. I am gonna do a little pause to take this out there, and then I'll bring you guys out there. All right, everybody. So I brought the tree out here, and this is like take 3. The first time I videoed it, it was like super slow motion. So I hope that's not going on. And the second time, for some reason, it was filmed like this. So hopefully that's not going on this time. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I put this, put it back on this. This is where the wax myrtle tree was, but that's what the pot was. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video, but anyway, so that is it. That's what it looks like outside. Super excited about this tree, and hopefully those branches do heal and continue to grow. So thanks for watching. So a little bonus, I said that I would show you guys the chicks. These are the little chicks I've hatched over the last about a week or so. Got a couple, or one, this one with the white top on his head. That is a Bantam rooster with a, I think it's a Jersey Giant hen. So that guy's going to be very interesting because the Bantams are really little chickens, and Jersey Giants are, well, really big chickens. So we'll see how that turns out. I think it's going to be pretty cool. They're all pretty mellow and relatively friendly so far. I've been trying to handle them a lot so that they stay friendly. So anyway, thanks for watching.